Welcome to Kim and Angela Talk. Kim is a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, PSYCH-K facilitator, curious human, forever student, and a loving mum. Angela is a Reiki master, PSYCH-K facilitator, metaphysical nerd, compulsive learner, and childless cat lady. Come along for the ride as they explore the mysteries of the universe and their own lives, all while enjoying a good laugh together.
Hi, I'm Angela.
And I'm Kim.
And together we're Kim and Angela Talk. And today we have a very special guest star, Samantha Berend.
Yay.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Sam is an intuitive healer and reader. She also practices Chinese energy medicine and various other modalities to which she can talk about. And she happens to be an excellent teacher and my teacher in this lifetime, and I believe many others before this. She looks young and beautiful, and she is, but her soul is eons old. And so it's just we're really honored to have you here today, Sam. It's so great.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk about everything spirituality and what comes out.
Yeah, it's our favorite topic of conversation, basically.
Definitely.
So she is going to gift us today with an awesome, cool mini reading for Kim, because we'd like to show you all.
Look who joined for the reading.
Oh, it's Bullet.
Who joined to be my familiar while I read you.
Yes.
I love it.
So we're going to go ahead and start off with that. So take it away, ladies.
Well, I normally like to start with getting your name 3 times, and my eyes may be open or closed during the reading. It doesn't really mean anything. I just switch back and forth between the two.
Okay. Just my first name or first
name?
Your
full name would be great because it's more customized to you that way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Just 3 times whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Kim Euskatis, Kim Euskatis, Kim Euskatis.
I like to get a reading color, and I use that to tap into the person that I'm reading. And I got the energy of like very light blue water, someone very calmly in a boat on light blue water, kind of resting and seeing where their journey is taking them. Where are they sailing to? It's almost like they got in the boat, but they didn't know where they're headed to. But that's not a bad thing. I feel peaceful about it. And it's very calm waters. So I'm just getting a lot of peacefulness and going towards your future, even though we might not, I mean, we never really know, but we might not know what that is right now. That's kind of the reading energy around you. I don't know if that resonates for how you feel.
Yeah, that sounds very lovely. And it's funny because light blue, that color is definitely something that's resonating with me right now. Everything. And I'm not really a blue person, but it just seems like everything's this kind of like light blue gray, kind of celestite kind of color blue. So yeah.
Yes, it was very light blue, like the lightest blue of the very calm ocean. So interesting, because I wouldn't think light blue for you either. But that's why I like to tap in that way, because it's kind of what someone's emanating that day. We talked about right before we got on what you might want to read about. We were thinking life purpose. Does that still feel? Okay, let's see what comes up around your life purpose. And I believe the exact phrase you use is, "What is my soul here to do?" Which I love. I think that's a powerful question that we all can resonate with. What is our soul here to do? What can I tell Kim? It's really interesting. I do see more group energy than I do individual energy. I see rooms of groups of women who are seated and leading circles, but they're kind of spiritual community gatherings, and they can have topics, they can have healing elements, but it's largely that community element that brings the ultimate healing to everyone who's there. So yeah, I'm seeing you lead a lot more groups. there is an element where you're leading everyone in a meditation and you go around and you do provide, let's say craniosacral to each person in tiny increments, maybe like they each get 2 minutes, and then you're
Okay.
going around this circle, and then there might be a theme for what you're sending them healing around, or you may do that individually based on what you feel off that person. And seeing it be very like leadership oriented, like stepping into being okay with leading and speaking and having it be your own version of a group, that knowing you can create your own version of a group, whether it's
Okay.
incorporating a card as a message or the card as the purpose of the reading, the meeting. Yeah, I just keep getting a lot of group energy, and it's also online too, but in person, in a way you can share your craniosacral in person,
Hmm.
and online would serve you as well, but they're different energies.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever thought about groups or if that resonates with you.
It's come up. It has
Is
come up.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, whatever your ideas you're having around groups, it's like we need to take those and run with them because it's
Okay.
going to be a success, and they're kind of your ideas for a reason. I can't even really tap into what your ideas have been. It's very specific, and you envision it in a specific way is kind of what I'm getting. So be okay leading your way. Maybe
Okay.
balancing around, I'm comfortable
Right.
leading my way. I own my unique way of leading.
Okay.
I step into leadership with power and conviction. It's coming to me. Yeah, and then you keep asking, or something in your energy keeps asking me, how do I get the people to the groups? How do I get the people to the groups? It's just
Marketing,
such,
advertising. Yeah.
yeah,
Always
it's
a
like such,
problem.
you're just like, how do I, it's such a lighthearted way you're asking it, like, but how do they come? Um, where do I find them? It's such a sweet energy in the way I feel your spirit asking that question to me. And let me see what I can get around that answer. Whatever in the area you live in, I am honestly hearing, which I've never heard before, guerrilla marketing. Like maybe it is putting posters up in at local businesses, really local meditation studios, workout facilities, even. Um, Occasionally a grocery store that you might like, maybe one or two, but more the facilities that people work out in
Okay.
or are kind of bettering themselves in, if that makes sense. Even like
Hmm.
juice stores for some reason, kind of like vegan restaurants, coffee shop, those kind of places where people are
Okay.
mindful,
Hmm.
conscious of their footprint and conscious of themselves and their betterment. But I've never heard guerrilla marketing for someone ever. So it's
That's
very
interesting.
funny. Yeah. Kind of in real life marketing.
Right.
And
Right.
through that, you get confidence to do your online marketing.
Okay.
Through that, people come to you and then your conversations with them, and it just kind of opens up the visuals for you. It's almost like through making those guerrilla marketing visuals,
Hmm.
you open up the maybe, I'm not going to say block because it isn't like a block, like the tension around what are the online visuals or the online messaging. I'm not sure
Okay.
if you feel that way. Like there's this little, how do I do the online visuals? There's this like little energy there that feels
Yeah.
pokey.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
That
definitely been
frees itself
hesitation.
up when
Okay.
you do the physical ones because
Okay.
making a flyer frees up making an Instagram post almost.
Okay.
And you can see what people respond to by testing different things.
Okay.
So, different messaging, different colorways, even.
Hmm.
It's like you get feedback from how much you gauge from each one that you put up. Like, oh, that one worked maybe because of this. Cool. Let me do that, a little bit more of that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I'm getting as they come to you with you doing in real life marketing
Okay.
and continuing to go to the groups that you go to online.
Right.
That's how you build an online one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
a lot of those people will show up online.
Okay.
So they can be two different groups that you're leading. I honestly see one each a week ultimately in the
Okay.
future within, I don't like to give time frames, but they're giving me a time frame, so I'll share it like within 6 months.
Okay.
Once a week on each. One in person, one online. Some people will go to both because ultimately they like the different containers.
Okay. Yeah. Just like awesome.
That's what I'm getting around next steps of life purpose. Your soul is here to help people gather in community and to bring them necessary levity in these times is kind of what I'm hearing. Necessary
Okay.
levity. You're very lighthearted in your spirit, honestly. At the core of you, it is truly a very light, positive energy. And other people need to vibrate off of that at this time. It will help
Awesome.
and bring them back to their light energy.
Right.
That may be,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Just by you being you or being around you for an hour a week will help them remember, oh, kind of take the edge off
Right.
of whatever is kind of poking them.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I don't know if that
That's
resonates or
awesome.
how you feel.
That's amazing. That absolutely totally resonates. Totally resonates. No, because I've even, thinking ancestrally back, like my grandmother's time doing, what they used to refer to as like a stitch and bitch, where they would all just get together and just, they'd each have their own little craft thing and they would just talk in circle and just, blah, 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 but diffuse kind of things going on. And that's kind of always been, but thinking of how that would look now in a little bit different of a context. And potentially, like you said, with the cards for a message for the day, or potentially maybe some movement things, because we talked about maybe doing some kind of dance thing with music, because I love music, and maybe some art. And so, yeah, so lots of stuff.
Maybe all of that.
Maybe all
Each
that.
one is
One
a
of each.
different. No, really though, because each one it can be like a creative and healing circle, and then each one can be a different form of creativity and a different form of healing through creativity, even. So art, dance,
Yeah.
cards, all of
It
it.
doesn't have to be limited to one. It could be a combination of.
That's why I really am feeling the way you're seeing it. All of those things, those very specific things are the specific things.
Okay.
So it's not one. It's not like, let me do art for a year. Let me do
Right.
dance for a year. That it pigeonholes you too much. That's not, it doesn't, your spirit's too free for that. You need to be able to do all of them. But that is also what people who come to you need. Freedom to be a dancer still, even if they don't dance how they want to, or
right.
feel how that they look right when they do it. Just offering them the circle of freedom of movement, and then offering them the circle of freedom of drawing or art, or and then there's like you said, that just kind of talk it out, free your spirit. There's not really spaces for us to do that anymore. Just talk it out and have outlets. You're giving them an outlet and you're talking it out, and I feel like that's all of it. They're saying all of it genuinely.
Nice. All the above.
Don't pigeonhole yourself. All of it. Like, yeah. Maybe it's themed around the moon cycle. Is one moon more movement oriented? Is one moon more? Maybe it's themed. You can theme it however you'd like. Maybe that would help you, though, is what they're saying in terms of what do I do when?
Right. Yeah. Themes are good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it can be even around like the astrological themes going on, or your life's themes, because that's kind of like the people that come to you will be having the same life themes as you. So if you feel like, oh, I should do dance this time instead of the art I was going to do, switch it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need at that time. You're getting all of this specifically. So use it specifically. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I'm getting.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna return. I'm just gonna send lots of gold energy to all of that I read, so it manifests for you in the perfect way, in the perfect time. And just send your energy back to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me do that. I love that.
That was awesome.
That was awesome, actually, because it is so on point with things that we've been talking about recently.
Oh my God.
Really? Like for Kim, yeah.
It's giving me tingles. It's making me tear up, guys. Honestly, that's just absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah, like one of the things we actually did talk about was like, when she was starting, like, just put flyers up. So that's so cool.
I saw flyers like all over
Yeah.
different businesses and different colorways for some reason, different themes, different messaging. So then you get feedback automatically. And you can also see, did I like that one more? Or did I like it? Gives you an opportunity to step back from it when you put it up and be like, do I even like that one as much? Or what do I like?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's cool.
And it so fits with Kim's like crafty artistic nature, to create in that way. So,
and I have used that term of not wanting to pigeonhole myself.
And it was screaming to me. That is funny.
Well, this is the thing, like with all these modalities that we do too, it's kind of like that same thing. It's kind of like, I don't want to just be that, because it's like they're all interconnected. So you can't say, oh, I'm just this, or oh, I'm just like, yeah, it's such a, shivers.
I know that was totally awesome.
So
Because like the entire time you were reading, I was like, that's so Kim. That's so perfect for Kim. And so on point with like things we had been talking about, and so that was really awesome.
That's so good to hear feedback wise, because I never know. I often don't know who I'm reading or what I'm reading or if I'm making any sense. So that's wonderful that it's things you've thought of and discussed.
Yeah. Well, and,
affirmation.
Totally. Because the work that you and I do together is like, because we are, see each other every week, because of the classes that I'm taking from you with developing my own intuition. I was like, well, I don't need a reading because like I can get, we do it all the time, in the classes. But so hearing that for Kim has been so perfect, because it also like I practice a little bit on Kim, and it was totally, also in line with the stuff that I did, like some of the things that we worked on, and some readings about her purpose. So, and it was just like, so this is like, but of course, like yours, the readings, you're so experienced with this, you've been doing this so long, and you like to hear that the flow of it is like inspiring for me. Because I like it, like when we did it with him, it was like a couple minutes. I'm like, well, think this, da 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 da. So it's also validating for me to hear that, because like your readings are so on point. So that was really awesome.
Yeah.
A large part with reading for me has been taking out, I think, or and just saying what I get and letting the things I get develop further, like a photo developing.
Yeah.
And I just let them get sharper and sharper and sharper. So at first it's guerrilla marketing, and then it's flyers, and then it's where you put them. And then it's, they change, they look different, they feel different, they have different energies. But all of that comes because I no longer say or I think or let that moment of ego, doubt, tension come in. Because it doesn't serve the reading and it doesn't serve me. So but it comes with a lot. I mean, 6 years of ums and thinks, and so it comes slowly. You get the confidence to stop doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all do that with our, intuition and our knowing. Like,
yeah, it's like developing any skill. Like what you say is like developing a muscle, and so for me, it's definitely working with you has been so amazing because I've like been working that muscle and it's growing in confidence. Because before I would just see things in like Reiki sessions with people, and then I would be like, am I making this up? Is this just something that's like, and I would, if I mentioned it to the person, because I didn't always, because sometimes it wasn't appropriate, but like sometimes it'd be like, oh, this is the feeling I got. They would often say, or usually would say, yeah, that totally resonates. I don't think I actually ever had anybody say, no, that makes no sense whatsoever. But I still always had that doubt, and now like that is like less and less and less. So, and I'm so grateful to you for that, for the classes that we are together.
I think not pigeonholing myself either, because I know 13 healing modalities and I primarily use reading every day, but that doesn't mean I don't use all of them in the readings, or that I also don't like to pigeonhole my intuition. And I think these classes are great. This is my favorite thing to teach because it teaches you how to free your intuition and let it run through you with more certainty, and then it gives you those tools for when you have doubt. It's just a toolkit. Like we all have a toolkit in our mind for when we get anxious or tired, or we all need different things. So your intuition also might need different things at different times. So I like to teach people those basic tools, and then their intuition fills it in for them the way that it's meant to, because no one's is the same. You just teach them how to use it for them. It's all about just empowering that muscle for that person, because we don't have the same muscles, so how will it won't work the same for us. So yeah, the only thing with the doubt is it will never serve us to doubt ourselves. So taking out that moment of doubt, I just let myself go now. And since I did that, I do feel like I can read the way that I just did. Whereas until I let myself be free, I had a lot of pause in that. Or am I sure? Should I share this? I don't know if I would ever like the phrase guerrilla marketing to share that, honestly, but no other phrase was coming to me. Like, that's not a phrase that I feel necessarily comfortable using, but it came up. So yeah, it's just interesting. Like, letting whatever is meant to be said, and knowing if it doesn't resonate, no sweat off my back, really. It's the intention that it helps in some way, but yeah, it doesn't hurt either way. Who are we, who are we hurting or harming?
Totally.
So that helps me too, to just be like, like free myself of that. What if I'm wrong? Sometimes I am. Sometimes people are like, huh? I have had readings that are like that. I'm like, cool. Maybe it develops for them 6 months later.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they don't know what that thing is yet, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of these things, like when we're working with somebody, like it may not click in the moment, but like 2 days later, a week later, they'll think about it, or they'll have a dream even, and they're like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Right.
That's what that was. So yeah, it's really interesting how it all works. And yeah, I have to say one of the greatest gifts of studying with you has been like owning that and like having the doubt get smaller and smaller and smaller. So, and eventually it'll be totally gone. Like
I don't know. I still have doubt. Right now I was very nervous, but you just let it go.
Yeah.
It's like anything else, you know.
Well, the tools you teach about releasing the doubt are so helpful. So when I do practice reading and stuff on friends and whatever, like I use the tools to release the doubt and set the intention that it's going to be fun and easy. And it always is fun and easy, and it works out, and I'll be like,
that's what I just set the intention that you receive what you were meant. I mean, it's a scary, daunting question. What is her soul here to do? I could have let fear take over, but that wouldn't serve Kim or an answer or future Kim wanting what she's meant to do. So yeah, not letting yourself get in the way sometimes, which is interesting.
Which is sometimes the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so she's humans. We're human this life.
I know. What's up with that?
What's up with that? Thank you for letting me do that, though. I loved that. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
that was
you.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just awareness too of our doubt, or when those thoughts come in, and just kind of giving them a nod and going, yeah, that's okay. And just, then that kind of like almost diffuses them, and it's just like acknowledgement of them, and then just kind of let them, because I do that too, like giving cranio and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to feel anything this time? As if I haven't before, but you still do, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Just wait and it'll happen. And, but that little just self-talk of don't ignore it or don't push it aside, but just like, that's okay. Little voice, whoever you are in there, from wherever you come from, of doubting that we've been, instilled with. So, yeah.
That is perfectly said. I think that's what I do, and I don't even realize it anymore. I just say hi to the doubt, and it moves on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, acknowledging it is much better than trying to push it down or ignore it or whatever. It's just kind of embrace it, acknowledge it, and then it just goes, oh, okay.
It almost wants to be hugged and released.
Yeah, well, I think any of our pains, that we get too, it's the same thing. It's crying out for attention, and we tend to just, ignore it or work through it or push and whatever, but just to take that moment of acknowledgement and what's needed. So yeah, so it's cool.
See, that could be a class you teach on. That is very helpful.
Embrace your hurts.
Yes, the witnessing.
Yes, the witnessing. That's it, right? Because that's part of what we do too, holding the space and just witnessing. So, and it's just so helpful. What we all want, right? To be seen. and understood.
Totally.
Yeah, great. Yay.
Well, I think it's a good time to jump into the first messages because it's all about being a part of this earth today was our theme. And I feel like this reading actually really did kind of tap into this because, like, we're all part of this earth and it's about community and the fact that we're also connected with each other. So, Kim, why don't you talk about your message?
Well, today I got another card, like last week, I believe, from this lovely elemental oracle deck. It's definitely our friend for the podcast for sure. And the card that I picked today was this one, which looks like a planet, and it's a cave. And what's written under or above it, I guess, is protection. And so looking at the back in time, because I've taken so many notes for all the different stuff. Many pages of notes. So cave, protection, going back very ancient times, ancestral times of how we used caves back in the day to display art, like what we were just talking about, or protect ourselves from the elements, and even the sound. All the sounds reverberating in a cave, and how caves are carved out with wind and water, so it's all like earth all together. And even I think the message that came out of the card was talking about a cave in South Africa that's one of the oldest art caves that they've discovered, and it's over 17,000 years old. And so, I mean, it definitely goes back to where we all began as far as how Mother Nature helped us survive, I guess, being part of it and offering that protection and stuff. And used as shelter and temples and for burials and portals. They're kind of magical spaces, dark and mysterious and what have you. And and it's good for our mental health to also maybe take a step back. That was another thing to, retreating and being quiet in quiet spaces too, to give ourselves opportunities to just kind of, again, be and stuff. So that's kind of the theme of that card. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about that, what I think about is like the womb of the earth, the caves being like a womb, and like where we're protected, where we're safe, where we can go into our dark spaces. And because like so many cultures, I think, also do rituals within cave, or like it's part of the progression from like one phase of your life into another, and how much we are a part of this earth, which actually I'm just jumps right into my message, if that's okay.
Yes.
So my message was from my Medicine Heart deck, Alana Fairchild. Whoops, where is it? Right there. I'm not mirrored, so I can never really
there we go. You got it.
This is the card was Collective the Southwest, which is funny because we're talking about community, right? Collective action and groups of women. And mine was like, from the taking of life through hunting to the less obvious but numerous deaths of small creatures through harvesting of plant foods and building of shelters, even humanity's most basic needs demonstrate an essential symbiotic relationship with the natural world and a spiritual need to reconcile with inevitable cause of harm. So what I love about that message is, like, again, like here the earth was protecting us from Kim's cave, from that message. And now we're at this point where we're not living in caves anymore. And so much of what we do is pretty destructive, but how are we approaching that? Are we doing this in a way of like honoring the earth and being really mindful of it? Or are we, which seems to be mostly what's going on right now, just kind of bulldozing this planet that we live on, the only one we've got, the one that is like so gorgeous and has sustained us and brought us to where we are from like our earliest times to now. And yet, what are we doing? What are we doing to this, And even if you're vegan, or vegetarian, and like, I go to this vegan coffee shop and she'll have things that's like, no animals harmed, well, it's not necessarily true. What about the little rodents in the fields, that like might get hurt because of like harvesting? The bugs, insects are animals, their lives, even the microbes, like how we've damaged like the microbes of the earth through pesticides and chemical fertilizers. So it's really about being mindful of this stuff and recognizing that no matter what we do the best we can, hopefully, but there's always going to be some sort of harm. Because like I've known hunters who, that were friends of mine, and when they go and hunt, they're so respectful. They use every part of the animal. It's not for trophies, it's actually for food, for sustenance. And they use everything, and that's fine too. Like, whether or not, you don't have to be vegetarian or vegan to like be respectful of the animals. It's all about honoring them. And then also, I mean, plants are sentient. They've had studies where, plants, like this one plant was like murdered in front of another plant, and the plant that like was the witness could actually recognize the college student that had done the crime, and would freak out because they had it like hooked up to like EEG or whatever, and so like it would freak out when this kid came in, so I mean, plants are sentient. So there's always going to be the cycle of life, this like back and forth and using of the earth. But like, how are we doing that? Are we honoring, or are we taking things for granted? And it's just is so interesting because it's all about the collective, like actually in the reading, like our collective need for healing, and our collective need to take care of ourselves, but take care of each other, So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, all this stuff is everything that's going on. It seems like keeps coming up in our messages lately as well, to be mindful.
Definitely. And maybe AI can help us if they figure out some stuff for better communication with plants and animals. And maybe people will become more aware, because I know there's certain people that are, but yeah, to just have a better cohesion of understanding of how it all intermingles.
I like those two messages together actually, because as I was listening to, it's like maybe we all retreat to our own cave at the end of the day. And do we retreat to a cave with mindfulness for the planet, or do we retreat to a cave with, blinders on about what we do or the harm we're doing or how we're using items, or that gives us the opportunity to retreat and think positively about how we can make that adjustment and help save this lovely planet that we're on, or we use it as an avoidance mechanism where a lot of people go to their cave and kind of bury themselves in their certain way of life, and they don't have to look outside of that. And so I think it's a great message together to say, like, what are we doing when we're on our own too? When are we protecting ourselves but also our earth? Is that protection open, or is it closed and selfish? So I like listening to those back to back too. It made me think in that way.
Yeah, I like the way you're putting that too, because it's like, yeah, retreating to our own personal cave, because we can kind of like wrap ourselves around in like these ideals that we think we're having, and that we think we're doing the right thing. We think we're living in isolation, and we're like, oh, well, I don't do this, and I recycle, and I do this and that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're also not in a bubble. It's like you can go to the metaphorical cave, but does that really exist? No, because we're still all interconnected, and there's still so much going on. Like, one of the reasons why recycling doesn't work so much is because it's like, yeah, you may be the perfect recycler, but your neighbor is not.
Exactly. So that whole batch can not be used and can end up in a landfill I think that often living in an apartment building, I see many items in the recycling that are not recyclable. And I take as many as I can and put them in the trash, but the whole batch is then put in the trash anyway. So it's just 90% of it doesn't get recycled actually. So it's just very interesting to think we may have these ideas that we're doing protective things in our personal caves, but when we actually go out from our personal spaces, are we using them to protect us and our thoughts maybe too much? Are we open to those thoughts about what's really happening? It was so great to listen to those two back to back, honestly.
Yeah, because sometimes too, then like you'll get into this space of like, well, I'm doing this, and then be really judgmental about other things. And it's kind of like the whole going back to the like being vegan, there's this because I don't label myself actually as vegan or vegetarian anyway. It's just that's my preferred way of eating. But so many people will be, so insistent that this is, like I'm very moral about it, right? And then like not even don't want to have honey or anything, but it's like, well, you do realize that there's other insects and other animals are being harmed in your harvesting of plants. So it's not just, there's still that whole cycle of life. So I really have to look at it as like, am I doing this the most sustainable way possible? And when I talk about this, do I talk about my personal experience, or do I tell somebody they're a terrible person because they eat meat?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that person, may be eating meat, but they could also be doing it in the most sustainable way of supporting regenerative farming and that sort of thing in a way that works for them. But condemning somebody or being judgmental about their practice is not helpful, because we are in it all together. And like, if we're all doing the best things, like there's a syndrome of like, kind of like, and I've been guilty of this, where like feeling like I'm not doing enough, like I'm not being perfect enough in my environmentalism. And then it's like, and that causes so much of your own personal stress, where really it's not about one person being perfect. It's really about all of us doing the best we can, and if we all did like a little bit more, did a little bit better about things, then everything would get better, because we're all so connected. But being all stressed out about being perfect yourself, and then becoming judgmental about other people, that's not helpful. That just creates more bad energy, bad
Yeah,
mojo.
negative.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I always try and tell the kids, do something simple, like when you come into anywhere, even a public washroom, leave it better than you found it. Like if there's a piece of paper towel, throw it out, make it nicer for the next person coming in. If everybody came in with that, then things wouldn't get all messed up, so if we just kind of take life as try and leave it better every day, then if everybody did that, then that's pretty much all you'd have to do, so I don't know, just a little conscious effort.
That's a great saying. Leave it a little bit better than you found it.
Yeah. Well, I just think of it even just like, in the kitchen where we're a big group family, and, so just try and leave it better for the next guy coming in. Otherwise, you just pile it up, pile it up, pile it up, and then everybody goes kaboom because it's like so messy and so ridiculous. But if everybody just took that moment, put your things away, and oh, somebody left a cup. Okay, I'll put that away, as opposed to going, well, that's theirs. Like just that little thing. And it makes everything better for everybody, as opposed to causing this big frustration. So that's just kind of how I like to leave things. Because even when you go to some place like an Airbnb, right? They're going to have a cleaner in. Well, that person has a job, and that's not fun to have to. So again, just a little extra touch to make it better for the cleaner, so that you came in and it was clean. So anything you're leaving is just your mess. So just have some conscious thought about that. So, I don't know.
It's always when I think about our trash, like definitely take your trash with you and throw it away. Because we always see little pieces of trash left everywhere. Where I live in Los Angeles, there's a lot of trash everywhere, and people just leave things all over on the beach and the sidewalk, everywhere I go, every single day. So I just try to pick up at least a piece or two a day as I'm walking by it. But if everyone just threw their trash away, even didn't use the earth, kind of going back to the card, is their personal trash can, because it's not. There is a place for that, and that keeps it safer for the birds, safer for the animals, for things that can ingest that and then have toxicity issues and may affect their longevity and their health. So I think that phrase works really well with just pick up after yourself too, like leave the world better than we found it, as you're walking around every day. I wish everyone did that. That's always what I think of.
Yeah. Just be respectful of, other people and the planet, because like, I mean, there's litter everywhere. It's like, I live up here in, Pacific Northwest, where you think people are so environmentally conscious and everything. So much litter, dude, so much litter. I will, go walking in the woods, and there's people have left their garbage behind. So I pick that up and I take it out with me. Going to the ocean, so much garbage on the beach. I have to remember, and I don't always, but I try to remember to bring a bag with me to collect garbage, because I know going there I will find it. And if I don't, remember to bring a bag, I just end up walking around with a bunch of garbage in my hands by the time I'm, but all people have to do is like, you pack it in, you pack it out. It's so
Yes.
easy. And I used to work on the grounds crew of the college that I went to, and for housing. And like, there would be garbage 2 feet from the garbage can.
Exactly.
And it's like, really, you couldn't make the extra effort to, and that's where my judginess comes in too. But that I kind of feel okay about, because it's like, take the effort to put it, like, we threw it on the ground, put it, actually take the 2 steps to put it in the garbage can, make my job a little bit easier, because that was like the first thing we did every morning was walk around with our little brooms and our dustpans and pick up garbage. And some of it would be outside the housing units, like they just were throwing stuff out of their windows. And it was like, really? So yeah, it's tough. And it's definitely one of my pet peeves is seeing litter. Like, I've kind of actually flipped out once when I saw somebody throw their garbage from their truck while they're driving into my neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't follow them all the way to their destination, but I definitely honked and flipped them off.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I see you. I see you doing that. Someone sees you. I'm a witness to your, bad decision.
Yeah, totally.
That can be helpful to shame them into doing. I wish there was more community effort as a kid. I wish I learned more about how to instinctively take care of those things. I think once people don't take it upon themselves to learn it, or if they weren't taught it, so many people will live their whole lives not even thinking about there's a garbage can 2 feet away. I don't understand how they can live that way, but I wish there was more effort to combat that, because it seems like a issue overall and everywhere and anywhere that you live. Lack of consideration for
well, it's
place
not only
we're
just the
on.
dirt around. I always freak out too when I see on the beach and stuff, if I see a crow and they're like picking at plastic and stuff, and I'm always thinking, oh, if it gets in the water, the otters and whatever, like, it's just, it's not just about us, or it's not even just about what it looks like, but it's repercussions for everything along the way, which then we end up being, if you keep going up the food chain, it's coming back to us. So it's like, again, leave it better for everybody, us included. So
I was at the park a couple years ago, and I saw a little baby duckling eating some little piece of orange plastic, and I was like, I couldn't get there in time to scare it away from the plastic, and it was just like, it just broke my heart, So I was just like, oh, so that it's so sad.
Feels like the unnecessary harm we're doing. Like, we all as humans are gonna do harm to Earth. You can't live here without creating a carbon footprint and a food footprint, honestly, just to survive. But you can pick up after yourself, and you can teach your kids to pick up after themselves and your relatives, and kind of call them out lightly when they don't do it, so that you see, I see you, hey, please don't do that. Because I feel like people also just need that reminder, like, oh, I'm not better than this. I am better than acting like this, and I'm not better than this planet. Like, I'm not deserving of like keeping trash in baby ducks' mouths. Like, that just seems like, why? There's a trash can, I'm sure, within 10 feet of where you were. So just so interesting to be like, we all are gonna do harm. That feels like an unnecessary harm that we
there's a lot of unnecessary harm for sure. But minimizing that, recognizing, okay, I don't live on this planet alone. There are other people, there are animals that need to be considered, and that, like, we're all part of the same system. There's I recently had, like, I had carpenter ants, so we had to get, like, an insect person to come, and, like, I'd be like, don't kill the spiders, da da da. And then I had told my boyfriend, you need to cancel them because we don't have the ants anymore. We can just call them back if those come back, because, like, I don't like the fact that they come and spray all the time, because the spiders actually need food too, because I like the spiders. The spiders are good. The birds eat bugs. I like the bugs. I've had them come. And so, like, I told them finally, I was like, let's just stop for now, we'll call you if we need you, if we get the carpet, which do damage the house,
Mhm.
But I had them come and like another company come and try to like sell me pet poison for the lawn to take care of the bugs. I was like, first of all, look at the lawn. That is like a wild lawn, and it's like that because I like it like that, because the birds are happy because they get bugs to eat. The little bunnies are happy because they've got tons of weeds to eat. It's like, I'm fine with that. Go bother the people with the perfectly manicured lawn next door to me. They will probably buy your poison. I'm not interested. It's like the birds need a sanctuary in this neighborhood. know. So yeah, because it's like there's like people want to like kill all the bugs or like kill all these little creatures that are actually so important to our lives. I mean, like if all the like insects and the bees were gone, we'd be dead. Like
They all have a purpose.
Yeah.
They're somebody's food, even if we don't like them. The birds really like them. Even the mosquitoes, right? Like the little hummingbirds eat those too. Like we don't even think about that. But yeah, there's lots of guys that depend on large quantities of insects. So
I always think about the vulture in society because everyone thinks the vulture is very ugly, is a horrible bird, but they'll clean up everything we won't. They keep disease away from modern societies, but they're thought of as a vulture, or to be a vulture in your family or in a society is always a negative thing, but they're actually one of the most saving and sustainable birds.
Yeah, if we didn't have them, we'd be in a big mess.
We'd all be very sick, genuinely.
Yeah.
It would be a lot more like in the 1800s. So it's just interesting to think that, even the words we use and the calling someone a vulture, we don't realize we've made colloquialisms of things that help save our world too. We're just like, what are we saying? And what are we paying attention to? What are we perpetuating over the years? And so that's something that's always stuck out to me because it's like, that's one of the most important birds and a job that no one else really wants to do. They'll do all of the things that none of the other birds are there to do.
Yeah. It's very true. It's so interesting how things change too over time. And when you come into it, when it's changed, like dandelions, perfect example of, I know growing up, dandelions were like everyone's bad weed. You had to get rid of the dandelions, right? And as we've progressed along and people have sprayed and the beautiful green lawns, and then you learn about everything that a dandelion does. It's like food. You can make salves out of the flowers. The roots help aerate everything, and that's why they pop up. Or that you don't have calcium in the dirt, and that's why they grow there, because when they decompose, then it adds more calcium. Like, I mean, they're so amazing, but they were so vilified, people don't want the yellow flower, whatever. But it's just so interesting how society like shifts all these things from like being gorgeous and helpful and, giving you clues to how nature is working properly or not working properly by giving you a hint of things it needs, to, oh no, we can't have any of that. It's just got to be like all green grass. Like you said, there's no diversity of things. And it's so interesting to me how it gets in our heads instead of, oh, bad weeds, right? And yet they have a whole world of their own and take care of so much stuff that we just don't give them credit for. But anyway, it's fascinating to me how you get taught something and then you start and you think, and it's like, well, wait a minute. No, actually not. They're good, so.
Well, when society collapses and you can't afford to buy groceries, those dandelions save your life. You eat the damn dandelions and the bugs.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Fascinating how things change perspective of things.
Yeah, it really is, because that's really the most horrible thing about what's going on today is like people thinking that that we are not interconnected, like that, like that you shouldn't care for your fellow man and woman, that you should only be concerned about yourself and what's happening now. It's hurting a lot of people. A lot of people are being hurt by that mentality. And it's really, I don't know. I'm not going to go off into a political discussion. But bringing it back to the messages is like, we're all interconnected. We're all a part of this earth. Some people think, oh, well, go colonize Mars. Well, first of all, let's put the resources into this planet, protecting this planet for everyone, as opposed to an elite group getting to go live in space bubbles on Mars. I mean, that's fun for science fiction, but in science reality, it makes a lot more sense to be putting those efforts and the
innovation
into this planet.
Agreed. And
So,
it's a beautiful planet.
It is a gorgeous planet. Gorgeous, especially if you live on the West Coast.
Not that we're like,
not that we're
biased or anything. No, definitely not.
There's parts on the East Coast that are beautiful too.
Yeah, it is.
Especially Maine, parts of Maine.
It's green. Yeah, so nice and green.
The parts where there's fewer people.
I think that message is also important because it is care for the earth, and I think all the beings on the earth animalize, but also people too, because we've become so individual and separated, and fear in society and the news and everything they feed us in this 24-hour news cycle the last few decades has created hypersensitive but hyper closed individuals. So I feel like we're all very sensitive but closed off from one another. And so it's like care for the earth. I think it's also just care for each other and be more open to caring for each other. And through keeping our light in these dark times, we have to care for each other. Or else, we're all gonna, a bunch of lights turn off. What are we gonna do when there's nothing left? We have to keep our individual light on and try to light someone else's.
Yeah,
that's also caring for the earth.
Yeah, well, it's all interrelated, isn't it? It's all caring for the earth is caring for everyone. Caring for everyone else is caring for the earth. I was talking to another friend. It was basically, as we raise, the work that we're all doing is contributing to the collective consciousness. And as the collective consciousness is raised, so will care for the earth be raised as well. So more people will be more aware of that we are not just the meat suit, that we are all so much more than this, and because of that we are all connected, and that we are not just connected to each other, we are so much an integral part of this planet, that it is all one. And we're not just all one with each other, we're all one with everything, all life on this planet, and this planet in and of itself, so, and it's so important to keep that being like a guiding light in the work that we're doing, because and every little impact we make, just one other person, a little bit of more light in that other person's life, help them to see their own light. Really, it's like we're not putting the light there, we're just helping them to see the light that already exists within them. Exactly. And as they see that and they're brighter, well, then they're going to also have an effect on people around them. So, and that's really what it's all about. And as we get brighter and brighter, things will get better. But and it's hard to see in these times right now with what's going on, but it'll happen. It's happening.
That also kind of ties into my message.
Oh, cool.
I got a brand new Archangel Fire Oracle deck. Sorry if I mirrored.
I might have to buy that. I might have to buy that. I just whispered it.
You might have to buy that.
Ooh.
We've got this Archangel, which is interesting because they have animals on them, and they have wings sprouting, and it feels like that collective consciousness on top as well that we were talking about. But the message that the card is illumination, but the message that comes from it is do not delay. The time has come to share of your light. Be unafraid to speak your truth, for there are many who will benefit from your message. So it's like having divine courage in the face of darkness. And I feel like that's what we need right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Help other people change their batteries when they die. And then, they can shine their light again, and more and more and more and more people. That's what you were saying.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's funny how the messages always tie in. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I feel like the more everyone You know, I mean, it's not, you can't expect everyone to immediately, I mean, it would be nice, but you can't really expect everyone to suddenly kind of like wake up. That's not how it's going to work. You know, it's not something where we can unfortunately wave a magic wand and everybody's like, oh, wait a second. And like, you know, it's all incremental, but it's also exponential. You know, every time, you know, we start something, we do something, we have this positive impact. Every time we help somebody else, we've talked about this before, just smiling at somebody else, you know, paying somebody a compliment, you know. I always like, when I'm out, if there's something that I truly admire about somebody, you know, the effort that they're putting out, their style. It's like, obviously I don't put too much effort into my own my own stuff, but like, you know, when I go out and I see someone who's like, you know, really, you know, rocking a look, you know, and you can tell that and be like, hey, you know, you're really rocking that vibe, and it makes them smile and it makes them feel good about themselves, you know, and it just carries forward a little bit of light, you know, in their life, you know, and like it changes their whole attitude. So maybe like they'll go on and like have positive impacts in other people's life, you know. And it's just about silly things. Even like the other day I saw someone, I really liked her bag, you know, so I was like, oh, that bag is amazing, and so she told me about it, and we had a little conversation in the bathroom, you know, and it's just like, and but like I could feel her vibe shift from just being kind of like status quo to like, oh yeah, look, someone likes my style, you know. So yeah, just small things make such a huge impact. And part of it too is like going back to the whole caring for the earth, is like putting that effort out there, just cleaning up a little bit of your planet, you know, going on the walk, you see something, if you pick it up and put it in the trash, then somebody else doesn't walk by and see it and kind of get down about it, even if they're not necessarily conscious of it. Because I feel like anytime you see a little garbage in a natural space, it's kind of like it's a little bit, it's a downer, right? So if you pick it up and put it away, then like somebody else doesn't think, oh, I didn't bring a bag. You know, now that's there, and that's like this little thing in my space. They'll just get to see the beauty of the natural world, you know. And you also know you've probably prevented a poor little animal from eating plastic. Which always makes me sad.
And even too, if someone sees you pick it up, and that might be like a clue for them that, oh, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Like just bring their consciousness to that, their awareness to it. And then next time they pass something, then they might pick it.
Yeah.
Maybe leading by example of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good teaching moment.
Yeah. All
That's
little
a good
things.
point.
Little
A lot of
things.
people don't want to pick up trash, but then if you see someone pick up trash, you're like, hey, I'm not really, I'm touching something, I'm throwing it away, I'm making the world better, instead of thinking like, oh, I'm touching someone else's trash. I feel like there is that connotation of trash, especially, that you don't want to touch other people, especially post, you know, 2020. Let's deal with that.
Yeah. And I get that, you know, especially like cigarette butts and stuff, but that's why I do the thing where I put my hand in the plastic and pick it up like that.
Right.
There's doggy bags. If you have a dog, just carry doggy bags. That's what I do. I have a dog, so I carry a couple extra bags, and those are easy to fill, and you could tie them to my pants, I've tied them to a backpack, I've tied them to a fanny pack. You can tie it to anything, and you use that to pick it up. That's a great point. You don't have to touch it.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time I went to Kamano Island, they had a little dispenser with doggy bags. So I took a couple with me because I realized I'd forgotten to bring a garbage bag. So I was like, oh, I'll take that with me. And sure enough, I totally filled that up, you know, and then had like some bigger pieces too, you know. But that stuff was easy to carry. But like, yeah, picking up someone's cigarette butt, it's a little bit more palatable if you have a little container to do that with. And cigarette butts are like the worst, you know, because birds will eat them sometimes.
Or the dogs. Or if your dog does, my dog does, she lunges.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely good to pick those up for sure.
Yeah. Because it's just care for the earth, care for each other, you know, and showing respect. Just, you know, it's not like you have to like another person, but recognizing that, you know, we're all in this together, you know, and having like showing respect for someone else is really showing respect for yourself. You know, showing love for somebody else, regardless. You don't have to like their ego, like with the things that they do, but like love for somebody else, for the human being, the soul of them, is love for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I segue off of that into our audience message?
Oh, I suppose.
Ooh. Well, the audience message today is brought to you by our lovely friend Sandra's deck.
Uh-oh.
Lovely Horses
Sandra
Oracle deck.
Wallen.
And the message for the audience today is this one. And I kind of panicked a little bit because I couldn't pronounce it. So just to be honest. And so I Googled it upon Angela's suggestion. And apparently it's, now I have to read my pronunciation. So it's Hiraith.
Okay.
I think is.
I totally forgot. She was like playing the little Google thing.
Yeah. So, because I'm like, I'm going to butcher that. But anyway, I think that's how, because it's intuitively an HI, but it was Hiraith is how they said it on there. So I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. And so the little message under that, when I got selected to do the audience message today, and I was kind of like hoping that Angela was going to do it because then she'd have to look up the second card. But anyway, it came to me and I almost threw the card because I couldn't believe, because I'm like, the horses deck related to earth stuff. Like, how's that going to play out? But the message underneath this particular card is literally letting the earth teach, which I'm like, are you serious? Like, how? So it's just like totally on point as always. And so the card basically speaks of Gaia's embrace and how we use our senses to kind of interact with her, and that's our birthright to do so. And, take an appreciation that sometimes, the earth is solid, like bedrock, that the horses are talking about, walking on something that's really solid. But then at other times it's soft and shifting, like sand or a beautiful meadow of grass. And so just, remembering it's our birthright to be in communication with the earth and maybe get back to more of that, because we seem to have broken off like those ancestral things, like we were talking about the cave, going back to that one. We used to interact and function with Mother Nature because we had to, right? If there's a thunderstorm, you got to kind of run and find some shelter, or a snowstorm and find some heat or whatever it is. Now we kind of have all these not false, but like in our own homes and whatever, with our own heating, like we're, like you said, we're kind of all individualized and not intermixing the way we need to protect each other and welcome everybody together, unless there's like an emergency or something. And then people seem to step up and then commune together to help each other. But aside from that, just on a day-to-day, we tend to have lost that kind of interconnection. So go out and walk in the trees, go out and stand by the ocean, walk toes in the sand, I think is good. And just really get back into watching how everything works all together and just really resonating with that more. Because we're part of it. She's part of us, we're part of her. So yay. So it's about it for our message. So go forth, audience, with that thought.
It's great how it all ties in together, recognizing that, we're all in this together. The earth is our teacher and our protector, and everything, we've all contracted to be here. All of us humans, all of the animals, the insects, the birds, everything is contracted to be here. And we're part of this cycle, like in the cycle of life, in the cycle of evolution. And so respecting that, respecting each other, respecting the earth, it all ties together.
That's beautiful. Yay.
That was a perfect message that I think you could have gotten from that deck. That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, like I said, we couldn't make this stuff up if we tried. It's just beautiful how it all just divinely comes together. So, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling pretty complete with the podcast. Are you ladies? Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I'll be putting your website up, SamanthaBrent.com.
Thank you.
And I highly recommend Sam for reading and for if you want to develop your intuition more, like I did. She's an excellent, excellent teacher. And I could not be more grateful for having met you, actually, thanks to Kim. So
I thought she was amazing right from the get-go. So
thank
just
you.
on our first meeting. So
Well, it just also goes to the whole world connected, because it was all and divine timing, and like everything's orchestrated, like we were together on Tuesday call with Sandra's group. You guys got paired together in a breakout room. I talked to Kim.
I was so excited.
Yeah, Kim
like,
was
oh my gosh, Samantha's amazing.
She's like, oh my God. And I was like, well, I gotta check this chick out. We'll see what's going on there. So if like Kim likes her, we'll see, so yeah. And then we started working together, and like, yeah, you're an excellent teacher and so gifted. And so I just, I love the fact that we are together like that in this lifetime again, continuing this journey. I love you. I love Kim. I love this whole journey that we're on together. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. And thank everybody, all of our viewers. Please like and subscribe. Please check out Sam's site, and Kim's and mine, but definitely Sam's. But and yeah, and just yeah, thank you all for sticking with us for this hour. And you just have a really lovely day until we see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Kim and Angela talk. Please like and subscribe below. To book sessions with Kim, visit keycranio.com. To book sessions with Angela, visit thisreikilife.com. Thank you.